He sits on the edge of the playground, not because he is lonely, but because a whole world is alive inside him. The swings blur behind him like slow-moving planets. Voices rise and fall. The air is busy, full of shouts, games, and laughter. But he is listening, not to reply, but to understand. There's a life existing behind his quiet, an interior universe rich with observation, small rituals, private experiments, and long, solemn questions that no one has ever asked. Sometimes people mistake quiet for absence. They measure presence by volume, by the quickness of replies, the speed of play, how fast someone can perform on demand. But the quiet child is not empty. He is deep, a reservoir. From the outside, his silence may look like distance. From within, it is careful cultivation. That difference between how quiet looks and how it feels is the beginning of everything we misunderstand about being quiet. Let me show you what this really means. Take Sarah, who always read behind the big maple tree while her classmates raced across the playground. Teachers called her shy. Other kids assumed she didn't want to join. But years later, Sarah became an architect. Her designs full of light and quiet beauty, shaped by the details she noticed while the world raced past. Why does a child choose silence? Sometimes it's temperament. Some children are simply born with nervous systems that prefer low stimulation. They find stillness restful. Other times, silence grows as a defense. In homes where speaking up brought criticism, or where big emotions were inconvenient, a young mind learned to self-soothe by withdrawing. In classrooms that reward speed and noise, quietness is treated as a defect, not a gift. And yet, neither temperament nor survival tells the whole story. Quiet children are often paradoxes, intensely social in their own way, but cautious with the forms of engagement the world demands. While others rush to be heard, the quiet child sees who's left out, notices the small hurts, the shifting smiles, the quiet disappointments no one else sees. They collect impressions like stones. Later, those stones become metaphors, inventions, stories, music, the untouched material of creativity. Some of the world's greatest thinkers and artists, like Albert Einstein, J.K. Rowling, or Rosa Parks, were once quiet children, watchers rather than talkers, learning to accumulate nuance. But silence is fragile. We live in a social economy that prizes performance and immediacy. The quiet child internalizes a corrosive message: you must be louder to be loved. Some mask, pretending to fit extroverted scripts, draining themselves. Others withdraw further, believing the world will never slow down enough to meet them. What began as a strategy for safety becomes a lifelong negotiation between self and expectation. There's a moral subtlety here. Quiet kids are often assumed to be easy, obedient, but easy is not the same as nurtured. A child who doesn't demand attention may not be getting it. In families and schools, attention is often given to the loudest need, not the deepest. The child who shouts gets help first. The child who whispers waits. Those long waits add up. Over time, they teach the quiet child to expect less, ask less, believe their needs are optional. Sometimes quietness becomes a chapel, a place of reflection and insight, but it can also become a prison where self-erasure is habit. Quiet children learn to treat their own voices as risky. They rehearse what they wish they could say, then decide it's safer not to say it. They become fluent in apology before they've even spoken. Sorry, I don't mean to bother. There's power in that apology too. Quiet people, when they finally speak, are often heard. Their words are rare, so people listen. But being noticed isn't the same as being understood. Modern conversation favors speed, retorts, zippy comments. The quiet child learns to shrink their words to fit in, or else risk being missed entirely. And all of this is even more complicated in today's world. Online, where profiles and posts are performances, the pressure to be visible is overwhelming. Quiet kids can feel doubly invisible, or they may find refuge, creating art, music, or friendships in online spaces where depth is valued. Sometimes quietness is misread as arrogance or coldness, or worse, it becomes a target for bullying. Quiet kids may be overlooked for leadership or left out of plans because others assume he wouldn't want to come. But look closer. And you'll find that many quiet kids grow up to see what others miss. They become the writers, inventors, healers, and advocates, shaping the world not through noise but through precision. Still, the journey isn't easy. If a quiet child hears too often that their voice doesn't matter, they might start to believe it. If they're always passed over, they may stop trying to speak up at all. So how do we care for the quiet child? First, by validating them, without demanding they perform. Let their pauses be pauses, welcome slow replies, ask open-ended questions that allow them to explore, not just answer. Give them roles that honor their strengths, the recorder, the observer, the one who maps the group's dynamics. In classrooms, try giving quiet kids a heads up before calling on them, or offer written ways to contribute. At home, carve out one-on-one time, spaces where quiet isn't just tolerated, but cherished. And to the quiet kids themselves, know that your way of being is a strength. If speaking feels hard, write your thoughts first. Practice sharing ideas with someone you trust. And remember, your voice matters, even if it's soft, to everyone else. Notice the quiet ones. Value their presence, not just their performance. Make room for the slow response, the considered reply, the insight that comes from watching, not just talking. In a world that confuses speed for wisdom, quietness is a corrective. It reminds us that thought is not speech, and listening is not silence. The quiet child is an invitation to slow down, to notice, to care more deeply. Were you the quiet kid? Do you know one now? Share your story, or tag someone who needs to hear this. Because in the end, the real question isn't how to make the quiet louder. It is how to make the world listen better. And sometimes the quietest voice is the one the world needs most.